I am making a Valkyrie deck profile. I managed to gather all the cards to rebuild this deck. I really like how this deck can either OTK or try to control your opponent's draws by manipulating what they're about to draw, banishing a card every turn, or milling the top two cards of your opponent's deck every turn. But I honestly always liked Valkyries ever since they were first introduced in, I want to say, the beginning filler arc of Season 4 of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. But starting off with the monsters, I will go ahead and mention real quick, this is a pure Valkyrie deck, so the extra deck won't be in this video, but the extra deck for this deck would literally just be 15 Ghost Reaper targets. The extra deck, in my opinion, doesn't matter in Valkyrie. Starting off with the monsters, I play 3 copies of Valkyrie Sechde. Valkyrie Sechde has the effect of when it's special summoned, you can special summon another Valkyrie monster from your deck except for another Sechde, and then during your main phase, you can make your opponent send the top 2 cards of their deck to the grave. You can only use each effect of Valkyrie Sechde once per turn. Then I play 2 copies of Valkyrie Verte. Valkyrie Verte has the effect of during your main phase, you can excavate the top number of cards equal to other Valkyrie monsters you control. Add 1 excavated normal spell to your hand, send the rest to the grave. Otherwise, shuffle all cards back into the deck. And I don't remember. And that has the effect if it's destroyed by a battle and sent to the graveyard, you can summon a Valkyrie monster from your deck. You can only use each effect of Valkyrie Verte once per turn. Then I play 3 copies of Valkyrie Dritter. Valkyrie Dritter has the effect of when it's normal or special summon, you can add a Valkyrie card from your deck to your hand. And then you can only use that effect of Valkyrie Dritter once per turn. And then it also gains 200 attack for each opponent's banished monsters. Which, that part doesn't really matter as much as the being able to search for something like Riot of the Valkyries, for example. Then I play 2 copies of Valkyrie. I've always forgotten. I think it was Zvider, is how it was pronounced. But it has the effect of when it's summoned, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls, destroy it. And then after damage calculation, if this card battled, you can target 1 continuous spell in your graveyard, add it to your hand. So this will let you be able to recycle your cards or this will let you continuously recycle your 3 goddess cards as long as they keep being destroyed. But you can only use each effect of Valkyrie Zvider once per turn. Then I play 1 copy of Valkyrie Ursta. Valkyrie Ursta has the effect of if it's special summoned from your hand by the effect of a spell, you can add 1 Mischief of the Time Goddess from your graveyard to your hand, as well as having the effect of once per turn. I think it's a quick effect. Let's see. If you control a Valkyrie monster other than Ursta, then you can activate its effect as a quick effect to banish 1 monster from your opponent's graveyard to have its attack become the same as that monster's original attack until the end of the turn. And you can only use each effect of Valkyrie Ursta once per turn. Then I play 2 copies of Valkyrie Brunhilde. Valkyrie Brunhilde has the effect of it is unaffected by your opponent's spell card or spell effects, gains 500 attack for each monster your opponent controls, and when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can have this card lose 1,000 attack or 1,000 defense points to make so none of your Valkyries can be destroyed by battle that turn. And then I play 1 copy of Valkyrie Erda. I want to play more of this one, but for now 1 is fine, especially since you can only control 1 Valkyrie Erda. But while you control this card, or special summoned by the effect of a Valkyrie card, all face-up monsters your opponent controls lose 1,000 attack. But the more important effect is it has the effect of when an opponent's card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can remove that, or that card is removed from play. So it's a pseudo Dark Law or Macrocosmos, but that's the reason I like it. Just because you can pick your opponent's field apart, remove their stuff from play, and if your opponent tries to destroy things, cough cough rocket, then they're removed from play. Then I play 3 copies of Valkyrie Sigrun. Sigrun is probably one of the better Valkyrie monsters, just because it has the effect of if this card's in your hand, you can target a face-up spell or trap card you control, send it to the graveyard. And if you do, you can special summon this card from your hand. And then if it's normal or special summon, you can activate its effect. You can summon one level 8 or lower Valkyrie monster from your hand or graveyard. And then you can only use each of Sigrun's effect once per turn. And then the last monster in this deck I play, just because I had the one extra spot and I really didn't know what to toss in, I play 1 copy of Cyberjar. Cyberjar has the effect of when it's flipped, it destroys all monsters in play. Each player excavates the top 5 cards of their deck, summons all level 4 or lower monsters to their field that can be normal summoned in face up or face down defense, or in face up attack or face down defense, and then all other cards are added to their hand. This card will probably come out along with a couple other cards, because right now I'm just experimenting so I can figure out what ratios to play, so I can toss in things like Ash Blossom, Effect Veiler, Imperm, Ghost Spell, because I feel like that one's pretty good, especially with Tier Limit running around. Then moving on to the spells, I play 1 copy of Terraforming, just lets you add the 1 field spell I play just to be gimmicky, or trying to be cute. But I also play 1 copy of 1 for 1. This lets you special summon Valkyrie Sechde, which lets you summon Valkyrie Zvaida, Arista, Sigrun, any Valkyrie that you need for whatever your hand is. 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster, deal with back row. 1 Monster Reborn, so I can summon monsters back from my graveyard. 1 copy of Called by the Grave. Again, just to hit things like Tier Limit, because they are everywhere now, especially with the Ishizu cards released. Then, for the 1 field spell, I play the 1 copy of the Seal of Warrior Calicos. Again, I don't think I need my extra deck, so the Seal of Warrior Calicos locking you out of your extra deck isn't that important. Usually, when I see it, I don't have any special summon monsters in play anyway, so I don't have to worry about destroying all my special summon monsters. What I do like, though, is that it gives all my monsters an additional 500 attack points, and if your opponent attacks a monster, it has to be the strongest monster you have. So if you have something like Appaloosa, for example, on the field, which I don't know why you would have an Appaloosa on the field of this thing, locking you out of the extra deck and destroying all special summon monsters, then your opponent couldn't just run over Appaloosa. I guess a better example would be Toad. Because if you summon Toad back from the grave when it's been activated, then your opponent would have, if you had something bigger than Toad, your opponent wouldn't be able to just run over the Toad and not worry about it in the gate. But moving on, I play, like I said, Ori Calicos and Terraforming probably come out for more hand traps. So I'll probably side the Terraforming, Ori Calicos, and Cyberjar out for Ash Blossom. Then I play 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance. This just lets you banish 3 to 6 cards from your extra deck to draw 1 to 2 cards, or 1 card for every 3 you banish from your extra deck. So banish 3, draw 1, banish 6, draw 2. But your opponent can't take any. I don't think it's any battle damage. For the rest of the turn, after it resolves, you cannot draw cards. But the only downside of this card is it does have to be activated during your at the very beginning of your main phase 1. If I could, I'd probably replace the Pot of Extravagance with Pot of Prosperity, which just lets you banish 1 to 6 cards from your extra deck, excavate that many cards, add 1 excavated card to your hand, and put the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. But you can't add or draw cards for the rest of the turn, and your opponent takes half damage. But normally, with how I plan on having this deck built, Whatever pot I'm playing would be sided out for Ghost Reaper, so then I can just mess with my opponent by banishing things from their extra deck. Like, if I'm fighting Sprite, then I'll have Gigantic Sprite, Toad, and Elf. I'll start with the Toad, or Elf. No, I think I want to start with Toad, to banish all Toads from their extra deck. Or against Tier Limit, it would be Kit Kalos, Kaleido, or whatever the three fusions are. If it's branded, then it would be Albion, Mirror Jade, and I think the third card would just depend on what kind of variant it is. But like I said, the extract will just be nothing but Reaper targets. Moving on, I play 2 copies of Mischief of the Time Goddess. Mischief of the Time Goddess cannot have cards or effects activated in response to it by either player. It can only be activated at the end of your battle phase. And it also, in order to activate it, you must control only Valkyrie monsters and no other monsters. It's like you have 2 Valkyrie monsters and a Blue Eyes. Because you have that Blue Eyes, Mischief cannot activate. But I do like this card just because of how it lets you, at the end of the battle phase, it lets you skip to the beginning of the battle phase of your next turn. Which I like because if I'm using Dark Ruler no more, I can take my opponent's board apart, use Mischief of the Time Goddess, and I can just attack. And my opponent can't take damage. Because Dark Ruler is only until the end of that turn, and now you're in your next battle phase. Then, moving on to the Goddess cards, I play 3 copies of Goddess Scold's Oracle. As when Goddess Scold's Oracle is activated, you can then search for your 1 copy of Goddess Verdunde's Guidance. Whoops. Accidentally bumped the camera. My bad. And then when Verdunde's Guidance is activated, you can then search for your 1 copy of Goddess Erd's Verdict. But in order to search for the next card, you must control a Valkyrie monster. Anyway, Goddess Scold's Oracle lets you... They each have their own once per turn effects, whereas Goddess Scold's Oracle has the effect of... You can look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, put them in any order you want. But when you use this effect, you cannot normal or special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except for fairy monsters, which is fine because that's all Valkyries and Cyberjar. And then Goddess Verdunde's Guidance lets you guess what the top card of your opponent's deck is. I use guess with air quotes because you'd normally use Skull to look at your opponent's deck, so you always know what the top card is. You guess if it's a spell, trap, or monster. If you're right, it gets set to the field. And if you're wrong, your opponent gets to add it to their hand. And then Erd's Verdict, it makes so your Valkyries cannot be targeted or destroyed by opponent's card effects. And then you can target 1 set card your opponent has on the field. You can guess what card it is, and if you're right, then it's removed from play. But if you're wrong, you banish 1 card you control. But like I said, normally this doesn't fail because you used Skull's Oracle to look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. This makes, because of Skull's Oracle, you know exactly what card it is, so you know if it's a trap or monster, and you know its name. Then I play 3 copies of Final Light. I'll probably end up taking Final Light down to at least 1. I won't take it out of the deck entirely because I still like that's a pseudo soul charge. The Final Light lets you pay 1,000 life points to bring special summon, or you can play life points in multiples of 1,000 to then special summon different Valkyrie monsters from your grave for every 1,000 life points you spend. But your opponent then gets to summon 1 monster from their grave for each Valkyrie you summon back. So I'll probably have it at 1. I don't think I like it at 3. So what I'll probably end up doing is, since it is meant to be an OTK deck, I might take out the Goddess cards entirely, Cyberjar, Terraforming, Orichalcos, 2 Final Light for hand traps. But then the final card of the deck is 3 copies of Rite of the Valkyries. This is the power card of the deck, being able to let you summon as many different Valkyrie monsters from your hand as possible. And then if you summon 3 or more, then you take no battle damage until the end of the next turn, which doesn't matter because you're not going to be attacking into something stronger than you. But then the downside is at the end of that turn, all Valkyrie monsters you control will be shuffled back into the deck. But it has a grave effect that helps to counteract that, of being able to banish it from your grave to then search for Mischief of the Time Goddess. So you can use this, summon your Valkyries, attack, or banish it, search for Time Goddess, then you attack with all your Valkyries, end of your battle phase, Mischief puts you back in your battle phase, and attack with everything again. This deck is really funny when it goes off, and it's also really fun to play. But moving on to the side deck. Currently, this is my generic side deck, but it is only 12 cards, which I'll explain what the last one is. For my side deck, I play 3 copies of DD Crow. This just lets you target 1 card in your opponent's grave and remove it from play as a quick effect. 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. Pay 1,000, target a spell trap on the field and banish it. 3 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. Target a spell trap on the field and destroy it. 3 copies of Dimensional Barrier. You call Fusion, Synchro, XZs, Pendulum, or Ritual. And neither player can summon monsters of that declared type or activate the effects of that declared type until the end of the next turn. Until the end of that turn. And then the last card in my extra deck is, of course, Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, I think it was. Where its effect is, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard or discard it. I don't remember which one off the top of my head. Then reveal 1 monster in your extra deck, and your opponent banishes all cards of that declared type. Or of that declared monster. My bad, I almost made the card much more broken than it really is, which really it's not broken. But like, an example being, if you're against Tearlament, you can reveal Kit Kalos. Now you have to remove all their Kit Kaloses from play. From their extra deck. But like I said, the extra deck for Valkyries is just Ghost Reaper targets. But that is it for my Valkyrie deck profile. If you have any ideas of what I can do to improve the deck, any ideas of decks like to be made, or decks like to see face each other, feel free to comment down below. Thanks for watching.